T. Gray and MK, you are now cleared for flight school takeoff.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Commitment and consistency. These are elements that will make or break your business. Bottom line. Bottom line. There's Trey. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
Commitment and consistency. So, you want me to just take 5 minutes and run through this?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Here's the reality. Let's start with commitment, and then we'll go right into consistency. But commitment has 3 specific concept. What am I pressing? I'm pressing the wrong button. Yep. Okay, so there are 3 elements to commitment. The first is pretty clear: commitment to yourself. I don't know how you guys stay on. We're sliding, so you got to follow. You got to really want to be committed. Like, I'm committed to staying in this spot, and yet all excuses are equal, so none of that matters. Okay, commitment to yourself, commitment to your dreams. You know, people say, well, how long should I be committed? Is that one of the most ridiculous questions you've ever heard? Nobody knows what the gestation period is for a dream. How long? Well, the real answer is until. Commitment to your dreams. And the question you have to ask and answer is, are they worth it? That's a big question. I hope you're writing that down. Are your dreams worth it? Second, commitment to your goals. To your goals. You know, one of the questions, and I'll tell you, I could tell you just a short story, because we're not going to take too long with this. One of the great things is to train leaders. You know, because often they're hard, but sometimes you get leaders that are just sponges and want to get as much information as possible. And our very own baby diamond, Jayla Pippins, we love her so much. And she is so coachable. So coachable. And I'm bringing that up because when we were talking about goals, I asked her her goal. She told me, and this is the question I asked her. I said, let me ask you something about that goal. Are you serious, or are you just kidding around? Now, the reason why that's such an important question is because most people are not serious. And if they're serious, then they will give you the permission to hold them accountable. Because without that, and without writing the goal down, taking it seriously, giving it timelines, without that, it's not a goal, it's a wish. And if, I'm going to be, okay, a little rhyme. If wishes were fishes, it would be the rare angler that gets the really big ones. Wasn't that pretty?
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Yeah.
I thought so too. Okay, so commitment to your dreams, your goals. Okay, then the next one is commitment to your system. So you're committing to yourself, which is your dreams, your goals, your family, all of that. But you know what? You also have to make a commitment to the system. We have the most incredible team here. And the team has put in place a system unlike anything, well, I can't say unlike anything that's existed before, because it's because of this system that Holton Buggs was able to create over 45 millionaires. But it's all about the system. And the system doesn't exist without the teams. But you know what? I just want to say, and then Karen will do a little talking. I know I tend to get wordy. But here's the reality. The enemy of consistency, the enemy of commitment is excuses. And by the way, all excuses are evil. Well, why didn't you make that call? My lawnmower was broken. Well, okay, I get that. You know what? All excuses are equal. This is a true story. So I was in New York a few months ago, Ronell, this is not about your team because your team rocks in New York, but somebody else came up to me and said, hey, I want to build a team. But I don't really know many people. What would you do? And I said, here's what I would do. I'm going to be back in New York in about 3 weeks. I would have a team in that front row, and we will build a team around them so strong you won't know, you just won't believe it. And he said, I don't have 5 people. What would you do? I said, you didn't hear me. I would have 5 people in that front row. And he said, even if you didn't have 5 people, I said, you're not listening. I would have 5 people sitting in that front row. And here's what he said. Oh, I get it. I'll do my best to try to see if maybe I can have 5 people there. I hope so. From that language, can you guess who wasn't there? See, language matters. Language absolutely matters. And all excuses are equal. For the sake of this conversation, I took like just 2 minutes and wrote down some of the great excuses we've all heard. And remember, excuses are the enemy of commitment. So let's look at some. Abraham, what was his excuse? Abraham was too old. Moses, his excuse was he had a speech impediment. He couldn't talk. Jacob was one of the world's greatest liars. Noah was a drunk. Rahab was a prostitute. David was too young. Elijah was too broke. John was too homeless. Lazarus was too dead. All of these were excuses, and yet all of them were used mightily. You want to know? T. Gray's starting to look at me.
He's preaching.
I'm about to make a donation.
Okay.
Pass the basket.
That's it. But I want you to really understand this. You know, when Gideon was saying, I'm weak, I'm too weak, I'm a coward, you know what he was doing at the time? He was actually burying, oh Lord, it is hard to do flight school in this environment. Happy birthday, T! Huh?
Yeah. Now I totally get it.
Boom. So I'm talking about Gideon here. Okay, so Gideon was in the middle of burying food and wine because he knew his country was about to get run over. And in the middle of this cowardice act of hiding and burying some essentials, in the middle of being the biggest coward you could ever be, he's told by God, hey, I know you're burying stuff, but you're a mighty man of valor. All excuses are equal, and it's up to you to turn them around. But I'll tell you this, you cannot be dedicated to your excuses and dedicated to your commitments. The two are absolutely contrary, and you have to choose. So you've got to be committed to yourself, which means your dreams, your family, your goals. You've got to be committed to the system, the tools to lead out front. We've said it so many times. People need to see your back. In other words, you know what leaders like to do? Leaders who you want to attract follow leaders. Do you get what I'm saying? Show them that you're willing to do what others aren't willing to do. So, commitment to yourself, commitment to your system, and 3 S's. You know, obviously, I've been a pastor for all those years. 3 S's. Commitment to yourself, commitment to the system, and commitment to the solution. What's the solution? The company. So, here's the deal. And Karen's going to share a little about this. When we talk about the solution being the company, one of the things you'll hear around the country that we train on is RPAs versus NRPAs. RPAs are revenue producing activities. NRPAs are, right, non-revenue producing activities. So in talking about commitment to the solution, which is the company, let's just talk about 3 NRPAs that can damage. They're a thief in the night. They come to distract you from really focusing on the RPAs. But what are they? How do we have commitment to the solution, which is commitment to the company? Well, we'll speak about the RPAs in a moment, but the top 3 NRPAs that will rob you of your commitment to the solution, which is the company. Here's number 1, spending time researching other deals. How much wasted time have people seen over that? Well, you're in, because here's the deal. We're the most talked about company, maybe in the history of network marketing, certainly in the current environment of network marketing. We're the most talked about company, which means the second you join Ibüümerang, and it's important to let your teams know, everybody out there who's in another network marketing company is going to be coming out. You joined what? Well, in my company, you could be making $5,000 a month in your first 20 minutes. You joined what? Can I tell you something? They're right. What? Did I just say they're right? Let me tell you something. There are opportunities out there where people can earn $5,000 in their first 20 minutes. You know what it's called? Cocaine. It's possible. It's possible. And we're not even going to edit that. How about that? That's possible. There are cocaine companies that will show you the quick fix. But you know what they won't ever be able to show you? Longevity. They won't ever be able to show you health. Anytime you are spending time researching other, well, I've got to know what the competition is up to. You know what? The competition, we don't have competition. The perceived competition, they need to spend time researching what we're up to, because it doesn't matter what they're, I'll go even further. Every other company out there can have exactly the same product, exactly the same service, exactly the same compensation plan, even the same things that are proprietary to us, they can have. And guess what? It won't make one bit a difference, because what they don't have is the vision and the leadership. They don't have Holton Buggs. They don't have Edwin Haynes. They don't have T. Gray and Mark Kithcart and this corporate team. They don't have what really matters. So spending time researching other deals shows a lack of commitment to the solution, your solution for your family. So can I tell you something? With love, knock it off. I know, I sound like Nick Mulvaney, right? Get over it.
You're just throwing all kinds of stuff out
I
there.
am. Okay, so what we went through is commitment. We had 3 S's. Commitment to yourself, which is your dreams, your goals, your family. Commitment to the system, which means commitment to doing it the way the system does it, not reinventing the wheel, being committed to your team, being out in front. And we went through commitment to the solution. Commitment to the solution, which was avoiding the top 3 NRPAs. I know I only gave you one of them, so I'll throw the last 2 out at you. The first one was spending time researching other deals. That shows a lot of lack of commitment to the solution, which is the company. The other 2, very quickly, gossiping. Gossip, you want to waste time, you want to damage your organization, quickest way to do it, start gossiping, throw that, have that duplicated throughout your organization. Recipe for disaster. What do you think?
I agree. 100%.
Yeah. Third, cleaning. All for cleaning, all for working in a clean environment. Do it at 2 a.m. Okay? Here's what I want to say. Don't confuse busy time with productivity. Oh, you know what? Write that one down. I never know what I'm going to say, but that was a good one. Write that down. Don't confuse busy work with productivity. I have no idea where I'm looking, by the way, Mark. Right? Okay. Don't confuse busy work with productivity. Use every organizational skill you have. Absolutely. And Karen's going to get into that shortly. But I'm telling you, choose your time wisely. Okay. We spent time going over commitment, and we did it in 10 minutes. Very proud of ourselves. Okay. Commitment to yourself, commitment to the system, which is your team. Be as committed to your team as you are. You should care so much about your team, but the greatest way to do it is by leading from the front. If you notice in great armies around the world, the Israeli army, right? What's going on? The commanders are out front. Lead from the front. Your team should be chasing you. So commitment to yourself, your dream, your family, your goals, commitment to your system, the team seeing you lead, and commitment to your solution, which is the company as a whole. Don't bother looking at other. We have the greatest company in existence. Focus, develop your belief, and you will be unstoppable. Now, we said we're going to speak about commitment and consistency. So let's move over to start talking about consistency. And you need consistency, just like commitment. You needed commitment in 3 areas. You need consistency in 3 areas. And we may just have another letter for you. Think we do? What do you think, Mark? Think we got them all in one letter?
I hope so.
I think so. Let's see. Consistency. I'm just going to give them all up front. Your hands, your heart, and your head. So what does that mean? You have to be consistent with all areas. Your hands, your heart, and your head. Well, let's start with that. What does it mean to be consistent with your hands? Really, what it starts with are your habits, because hands, what does hands represent? The doing. Hands represent your actions.
Okay, so I'll jump in here on that one because I am a huge believer in this habits create the actions that you need in order to achieve really in anything. And I'm hardcore about my lists, and not only my list, but I just wanted to share you, it's a little messy. I'm old school planner, that this works. Not just a list about what you're gonna do that day, but dedicating and scheduling your recruiting time. I have found that if I don't schedule specific time to do everything, I mean, I schedule my workouts, I schedule everything in my little planner. And if I don't carve out and stick to a commitment of I'm going to spend this next hour reaching out to new people on my list or adding to my list or sending I decides or some type of productive activity, if I don't carve it out in my day, then the day gets away from you and you haven't done it. So I know for a fact, if you stick with making your list and then scheduling those items on your list on when you're actually going to do them, it makes such a huge difference. And then if you, at the end of your day, if you go through your list, don't start your next day until you've made your list and your schedule for the next day. So the minute you wake up, you've got it in front of you, you know exactly what you need to do. And it takes a little bit of self-discipline to stick with that schedule. And of course, things are going to pop up. But even returning phone calls with your team members or things like that, have a scheduled call time that this is the time that I'm going to return all my calls. If you can stick with that, you would be shocked at how more productive your day is going to be, and how many more recruitments, how many more exposures, how it just really impacts the production level.
Well, and go even further, because I know how much you love checking things off.
I do. I'm
So-
addicted to it. Nothing makes me happier than my list here and going, done.
So speak about that habit of developing. That's actually a success habit of being able to check things off your list.
Well, and you definitely need to make it obtainable. Don't go crazy. It's something that you can fit into your day. And then there's really nothing more to say except it's super exciting to cross off the things on your list. And the key, though, is scheduling it. You got to get it scheduled.
So yeah, I agree with Karen. I never, ever, ever start my day until I finish it on paper. And that's the bottom line. And sometimes Karen is more disciplined than I am in many ways. So what I'll do is I have to check things off. If I don't have things checked off on my list, I'll make things up to put on my list so I know I can at least check some things off. Brush your teeth. Great, I was able to check that off. I mean, but I'm serious. You want to get into the habit. We call success habits habitudes. So check off, make that habitude of attitude, of success checks, checking those things off. It is so important. See, your hands, really, metaphorically, that's when people talk about what are you doing? What are your actions? So when we spoke about commitment to the company, to the solution, we spoke about the top 3 NRPAs, non-revenue producing activities. But now that we're speaking about your hands, consistency with your hands, let's talk about the top 3 RPAs, revenue producing activities. And Tigray, since it's his birthday, we came up with this acronym in honor of Tigray. So Tigray, I hear him in the background. That's right, he may be laying down. Okay.
Taking a little nappy too.
Absolutely. Well, these three letters are in honor of Tigray. These 3 RPAs, we're using the 3 letters IPA. Can anybody guess why we're using IPA? Don't write it on the chat box. Just know Tigray, every once in a while, likes to indulge in a nice cold IPA. It's a form of beer.
Yes.
I know.
Indian Pale Ale.
Indian Pale Ale.
Yeah.
Look at that. We can erase that when it comes to the tape. So, okay. But here's the I. These are the top 3 RPAs, revenue producing activities. Number 1 is inviting, as in contacting, invite. Let me tell you, you master these 3, there's nothing else to really talk about. Contacting and inviting. Number 2 is plan. Show the plan. And by the way, there are easy ways to do all these 3. And number 3 is attend. Attending the events. So when it comes down to that, how do we do it? How do we do it? Use the tools. See, we really do have great tools. We have the nightly Zoom calls. Often we have the daily Zoom calls. We have the recorded Zoom calls. We have the I Decide, which may be the greatest tool in the history of the direct selling industry. But I'll tell you, here's the challenge. We have a challenge. And we have one really bad tool. And you know what it is? It's our mouth. People like me suffer with it more than most, granted. But here's the challenge that I want you to think about. You may be the greatest at what you do. And you could sell anybody anything. You may be that 1%. But guess what? As you're doing it, and the people are so enamored saying, I'm going to do that. But you know what subconsciously they're thinking? Man, I want to do it. I want to do whatever they're doing. but I'll never be able to do what he's doing. I'll never be able to say what she's saying. At that moment, duplication ends. So always be thinking, is this duplicatable? And if it's not, cut it off at the core. That's kind of all I have to say about the hens. Okay, duplication, always be thinking duplication. We know we're running, but we're being very respective on everybody's time. So yes, consistency in your hands, consistency in your heart. You know, the number one mistake, please write this down. If you are in front of your computer, so grab a pen, write this down. The single biggest mistake network marketers make is treating people like commodities. We view people all around us with dollar signs over their heads and wonder, will they turn into my next sale, my next customer, my next recruit? Nothing is more damaging to authentic relationship. And by the way, the only way this business thrives, can it work that way? Sure. The only way this business thrives is with authentic relationship. You know, when we talk about loyalty, unity, and edification, especially among the diamonds, and of course, everybody who's listening, we are under the assumption and believing with you that you will be one of our next diamonds. We take that seriously and we believe it. But what's the deal with that loyalty, unity, and edification? What's that about?
Well, I know from a woman's perspective, and I actually talk about this when I'm talking to new people and explaining the company and why I'm so excited about it. Lou, in case you guys don't know what that stands for, when you become a diamond, you have a shield, and it stands for Lou, loyalty, unity, and edification. And what it symbolizes is if something were to happen, so if something were to happen to Peter, and God forbid, you know, he's not able to work the business, all of the other diamonds are committed to spending 2 weeks of their time working our business to make sure that we're okay and that things keep going and we're in a position of security. From a woman's standpoint, that sense of security is crucial. And it's such a key point that I do talk about it, especially when new ambassadors come on board. I bring that point up because I think it really demonstrates our core values here and how much we really do value each other and working together and making sure that we all win and that we're all taken care of.
It really, Karen opened my eyes to understanding the power of Lou and how significant it is to women. It never crossed my mind, but as you'll hear shortly, if we're not in the business of attracting women to the company, we're missing out on the vast majority of those who are interested in the direct selling industry. But I think we're going to get to that later.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So the last part, as we're talking about the heart, is Mark and T. Gray already spoke about the Boom Foundation, but please understand, it is core to what we do. See, most companies, when I say most, most doesn't even come close to it. 99 point a lot. Almost all companies, they try to retrofit giving. You know, we're doing well. Well, let's say we're going to give a burger for every burger we make. Oh, so you're going to, that's good. Since we're giving burgers that are already poisoning our kids, let's throw some more. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand that you cannot retrofit effective giving because your budget's been set. But Holton Buggs, our CEO, the man who came up with the concept of monetizing savings, I don't even know. I mean, There are going to be books. There are going to be studies at Harvard Business School studying the Ibüümerang model and the mind of Holton Buggs. I have a feeling that mind's going to be studied in the business school, in the school of psychology, maybe in the school of neurology. Long time away, you know. Philosophy, exactly. But really, who comes up with this idea of monetizing savings? It's absolutely incredible. But Holton also wanted to make sure that we did not have any issues later on adding in a giving concept. So because of that, we're not retrofitting giving. From the very beginning, giving is part of the company. And that you already heard about it, so we don't have to dwell there. Okay, let's talk about, because we've spoken about the hands, and we've spoken about consistency with your hands, consistency with your heart, leading with your heart. But with that, I want to take a little deviation, it's still about the heart, and talk about the 3 questions to effective recruiting. And please write these questions down. And I want you to understand that these questions only are effective when you've built rapport. Now, we're people that have never met a stranger. We don't recruit strangers, but people don't stay strangers long. Very important. And I hope you understand that, what we're saying there. It means through conversation, people don't have to remain strangers. But once you have rapport with someone, and that can happen over days, hours, years, but it can also happen over minutes by showing you care, by taking an interest. Once you have that initial rapport, let me give you the 3 most powerful questions to recruiting a massive organization. And here they are. Question number 1, are you happy? Can only happen, that question can only be asked if you have rapport. Are you happy? And you're going to see people get so small, just shrink in front of you. Now, every once in a while, something beautiful is going to happen, and people will grow larger in front of you because they are so happy. And you know what you do in those cases? Bless them. Say wonderful. But for those who start shrinking, well, what areas aren't you happy with? Inevitably, what do you think the first area is going to come up? What do you think?
Financially.
Financially, inevitably. We didn't rehearse this.
Nope.
Financially, man, too much months left over at the end of my money. I can't take care of my family the way I want to. My kid is going to be going to school in 5 years, and I don't have what it takes. I'm telling you, it's going to be the number 1 thing people answer. Are you happy? And in what areas do you have a challenge there? So that's the first question. The second question is, yeah, I get that. Do you have a plan to get there? Simple question, innocuous, right? It's not at all an offensive question. Wow, you happy? Well, finances, man, could sure use some, lose a little more. Or by the way, it may be, man, I'm happy, but sure wish I had more time to spend with my kids. Those are legitimate reasons that would cause people consternation. But you have an answer. So the second question to effective recruiting is, do you have a plan to get there? Now, I'll tell you straight out, 95% of the people will say no. Plan, I haven't even had time to think of a plan.
People are just getting by.
Yeah, they're just getting by.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they say no, or they'll say, which means no, right? Here's the third question. Very simple. Would you like to see one?
Boom.
I mean, think about what just happened. Hey, you've built rapport, could have taken 3 sentences, could have taken years, could be with relationships, with new relationships that you're immediately building rapport by asking, hey, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your sign? If you're in Southern California, you know, what's going on in your life? Then the 3 questions worth repeating. Are you happy? Any areas of your life where you're not happy? Yeah, it's either going to be time or money. Man, I get that. I totally understand that. Do you have a plan to get there? No. Let me ask you, would you like to see one? Boom. Now, here's where the mistakes come in. As soon as they say yes, because the lead of those 3 questions almost inevitably leads to, of course I want to see a plan. But then what do? We've taken those 3 questions and we destroy them. How do we destroy them? By using the one bad tool in this industry. What is it?
Talking too much.
Talking too much. And we just throw up all over. You're not going to believe this because this is Holton Buggs and 45 millionaires and travel and cell phones and blah, blah, blah. We just, okay. Oh, you don't have a plan? You know what? I'm about to get into a meeting. What's your email address? And I'm going to send you an interactive video that's going to knock your socks off. It may be the answers, you may have the answers you're looking for. I'm going to send it to you. What time tonight can you get on the phone with me? And we'll go through some questions. How non-combative, non-confrontational is that? I'm telling you, those are the questions to effective recruiting. Now, with that, it's important we discuss some of the objections. How are we doing? We are doing great on time.
You are rocking this.
We're crushing it. Okay. So I'm getting some looks. Am I going too slow, too fast, or just perfect? Okay. Okay. Flight school's fun, man.
Yeah.
Got to have us more.
Yeah.
We want to be
Absolutely.
part of the whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, all. Okay. Okay. So it's important that we discuss, as we've given you the 3 most important questions, the 3 questions that will jumpstart your recruiting. And by the way, this is not hypothetical. We're allowed to say we are over 120 first class wide. Okay.
Personals. Mm-hmm.
And I still believe we're the only diamond with over 120 customers. So but we're talking about what we know. It's not ego. I promise you, you know that. Okay. So let's discuss some of the objections. I don't have enough time. Karen, I don't have enough time. I don't even have enough time to look at this. What do you think about that?
What do I think about
What do you
that?
think about that?
I think I have a solution for that.
Well, what do you mean?
We didn't plan this, so I'm not exactly sure where you want me to go with
I want you to go wherever you think you should go.
What have you planned? What is your answer to that?
Yeah, my answer to that is, would you like to have enough time?
That's what I just said, yeah.
Yeah, really, there's no shame in not having enough time, but do you want to stay not having enough time? Yeah, listen, I get it. And what I don't do, by the way, is I don't feel, felt, found. A lot of you on the call have been salespeople. I know how you feel. I felt the same way until I found somebody does that. You know what I immediately say? Are you feel, felt, founding me? No. So what? Just real. You know what? There is no shame in not having enough time. Would you like to one day have some time? Because if you don't change, you're never going to have enough time. Okay. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. Man, my wife just lost her job, so it's just me now. What do you say to that?
I have a solution for that.
What is it?
I'm in a company called Ibüümerang,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a new technology company that you really should take a look at because it really could help you financially.
So she's coming to me right at my need. Now, if I say, well, I don't even have time to look at it, just, you're not looking for everybody, Because if somebody just lost some of their income, instead of that time they just say, we're going to have to make the most of the income we now have, having lost half of it, wouldn't that be the time? Are you looking for the type of people that at that moment will say, man, I am open to anything because my family matters that much? So remember, you're not looking for everybody. It is a sorting process. There's only one more, you know what? Okay, this is a fun one. This is a fun one. Mark may want to edit this. I'm telling you straight out. Oh, Mark's looking at me. But this, I'm going to tell you straight out. I actually recently got this. I'm going to look at you, not even that. Okay. I got recently, and people know who I am, and they know I'm a lawyer. And somebody asked me recently, this sounds really good, but is this one of those elite? Here's what he said to me. Is this one of those illegal pyramids? Well, hello, you know, it was somewhat insulting, but he was a lawyer also. So here's how I answered it. And this is the part you may want to edit, but it's funny.
It's a good story.
Yeah. Okay, so here's how I answered it. Is this one of those illegal pyramids? Yes. But we've already cut a deal with the government. We've cut a deal with the government, and we're going to make so much money over the next 4 years. And after those 4 years, we're only going to get 6 months minimum security. And then I just was quiet.
Yeah, we're going to need to edit that.
But let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you the ending of the story. Tell you the ending. So after I was quiet, I shut my mouth. It felt for like it was 5 minutes, you know, but it was really only like 10 seconds. And here's how he answered. Are you sure only 6 months? I knew I had him. Now, so hopefully you're not watching this in a bubble and turned on to that 1 minute story.
It's not true.
Yeah, no, the story's true. But of course we're not an illegal pyramid. But let me address what people do bring up, because I'm uniquely qualified because I'm a lawyer, okay? Let's talk about the FTC. I think this is actually great, and let's keep this recording running. See, the FTC is looking for 2 things. And by the way, so many people in our industry, you hear the FTC is the enemy, the enemy. Let me tell you something straight out. The FTC is not the enemy. The FTC, their mandate is to look out for the consumer, for you, for me, and they frankly are doing a very good job. But they need to look at certain standards. What are the 2 standards that the Federal Trade Commission looks at? And by the way, this is regulatory agencies all around the world. What are they looking at? 1, customers. Do you have genuine customers outside of the plan? Well, let's just look at Ibüümerang. Do we have some customers? I mean, people would be shocked. I mean, we're well over a 10-to-1 customer count. And by the way, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you're going to be shocked. I think 90% of the income earned in this company is going to be directly attributed to customers enjoying the services who have no financial incentive. That is safety. That's what the FTC is looking for, and they are right. Okay. Second thing the FTC is looking for is genuine value. Now, I understand that value can be somewhat mystical. How do you define value? It's harder to define it, but it's pretty easy to show when it's not there. When a company is marking up its products 8 to 12 times for the sole purpose of justifying a compensation plan, you know what that's called? a clue. That may give a hint that those products that were really from somewhere deep under the Hudson River that only came out at midnight, there may not be real value there if it's just under the Hudson River at midnight. You have to mark up those products 8 to 12 times just to justify a compensation plan. See, our model is totally the opposite. Our value, we can show traditional companies selling what we have, not even as strong a version, for up to $30,000. You want to come to us, come look at us on value, come sit down, and we think you'll end up booking a vacation through us. I'm telling you, we are so strong there. Now, the last objection isn't really an objection, it's more of a philosophy. It's the word no. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing great. Okay, how are we doing? The word no. Lately, there has been a plethora of teaching, embrace the no. Every time you get no, you're closer to a yes. Learn to love the no. Can I confess something to you? We're family, right? You guys too? I hate no. I cannot stand it. And if somebody tells me to embrace the no, they don't know me. Couple of things. Cesar Munoz on the story on Wednesday said it's so great. How do you say it's free? What are you saying no to? Everybody should at least be a customer. That's one thing. Here's the second thing. The only reason you hear some hesitancy in my voice is because some people will take offense. Please know I'm sharing this with deep love and gratitude to everybody who's listening. We are the Ibüümerang family. I love this family. I'm still hesitating. Let me just say it straight out. If you're getting so many no's, become the person that people want to say yes to. You know the old school teaching, well, they're not saying no to you, they're saying no to what you're offering. Dear ones, if what you're offering is free and they're saying no, I have news for you. It may be you. It may be. So become heavy. Sure. Become the person that people want to say yes to. Now, how do we do that? Well, that leads directly to the third H. See how I did that? Wasn't that a good segue? So consistency, because we're gonna start closing up soon. We went through commitment to yourself, the system, which is your team, the solution, which is your company. So commitment to yourself, your system, your solution. Consistency with your hands means your action, your heart, your attitude, and your head, personal development. Consistency with your hands, your heart, and your head. Let's talk briefly about personal development, your thoughts. One sentence on reading. Y'all know, we've spoken about reading everywhere I speak all around the country. I get it. I get some, I'm too busy, I'm too this, I'm too that. Let me just say this one quick question, one quick sentence. There is no difference. I'll lighten it a bit. There's virtually no difference to someone who cannot read and someone who chooses not to read. There is no difference between someone who is illiterate and someone who is illiterate by choice. Whoa, okay. So that's about mindset. That's all about mindset. Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
All right.
Yeah. Take us home.
Take us home. Taking you home. Okay. Mindset is a big one for me. This is where I struggle the most, and mostly in capturing those negative thoughts. And I think that, and I'm going to bring it back to women because y'all know that's where my passion is, women in this industry and women in general. But you can do it.
Yeah, slides.
Mindset and capturing those negative thoughts, because we have to let's be honest, we have to think a little bit more about organizing, juggling with the kids, the family. What are we going to make for dinner? We have a little bit more going on in our mind. But that is a pain point that is perfect on how and why you want women in your organization. Because first of all, women right now, the ratio of starting businesses is 3-to-1 to men. Women are taking action. They're taking control of their lives and their future and their finances. So when network marketing specifically is consisting of 74% women, and I've seen it as high as 82%. So that really speaks to we should be speaking to women and touching on what those pain points are that women are struggling with and what they're desiring, to the point where they're starting their own businesses. And fortunately for us, network marketing is one of those areas that they're looking. Okay, so what are those pain points? Thank you. It's important to understand what those are, because then you can speak to that and address those. And we touched on it a little bit, you know, the finances and the time. But I think for women specifically, that work-life balance is a big deal. And I'll tell you a story. When I launched Lux Magazine, and it was 24/7, and I was very proud of it, and I had really moved up in the world, and it was my baby. But here's where I knew I had to make a change. My phone rang one night, and at the time my daughter was 10, and she started bawling, just crying, and she begged me not to take that phone call, begged me. And after further discussion, she told me that I'm always on the phone, always working, that she didn't feel important. And that was when I was like, oh, I'm going to have to look at another option, another alternative. There are a lot of women struggling in that whole same environment, looking for a way out. So they can schedule their own time, and they have control over their time and have a work-life balance. Now, the other thing too is, in this industry, women can still work independently and have control over their business, but yet still have a team where you can collaborate and have support of a team. That's important to women. They want to have control, but they don't want to be an island unto themselves. So that's a real crucial aspect to convey to a woman when you're speaking with them, exposing them to the business, and also trying to determine which of these pain points is this person dealing with, so you can address those specifically. The other thing too that's really big is we have network marketing, and specifically in Ibüümerang, we have very low startup costs and monthly overheads compared to traditional businesses. So if you've got 3-to-1 ratio of women looking at businesses, they could be looking at investing thousands and thousands of dollars to get out of that corporate or that situation that they're in. And we have a solution that is low entry and very low overhead. So that is very appealing to women for sure. And I think the main thing, and I spoke about this briefly on the other call, this is a big one. This is an equal playing field. There is no gender gap. There is no glass ceiling. You can earn just a same amount of income as the male counterpart. It is totally up to you, and still have that work-life balance and control over your own schedule. Because I think what's happened, and I've witnessed this in my own work environment and traditional business and corporate environment, women have to put their game face on. They have to temper their more feminine traits, because we got to be tough, we got to get things done, and it almost makes us smaller as people. And what I love about this industry, and specifically Ibüümerang, those traits that we have to typically subdue, those are valued and exalted. Those traits of values of nurturing, support, collaboration, authenticity, all those things that we kind of shut down in other worlds and working environments, those are what help you succeed in this business. You're completely empowered to be yourself, and not just empowered, but celebrated. And it's kind of cool that, and I'm not knocking this, because traditional female direct selling and network marketing is the skincare and cosmetics and things like that. And that's great. I'm not knocking that. I happen to think it is so cool that I have this much empowerment and this much control over my future in a technology company. It's, and when you think of technology, I feel like that's really more of a male dominated, I think that's the assumption. And that is not the case here. And I think it's so cool that, hey, I have control over I have my own business. It's a technology company. It's cutting edge technology company. And I am completely supported, encouraged to be exactly who I am in all of my womanhood. So what I'm saying is, if you are talking to a woman, I promise you she's going to have one of these pain points. And when you can address that and acknowledge that and show them that we have a solution, and frankly, they probably have all of these pain points, that we have a solution to accomplish what they are trying to accomplish, that will help you build an amazing organization of powerhouse women. Because there's a lot of women looking. I've got a friend right now who's 20 years, AT&T high-level executive. She's looking for an exit strategy. She doesn't want to do that. She wants out. And guess what? She's an Ibüümerang now. So that is a whole market you guys should be focusing on, because it will make a huge difference in your organization. So go get the women, because we get it done.
Well, and I know you said it, and we'll close because we've taken probably a little more time, Mark. Are we a little over?
I tend to
Okay.
do that. I will always be the one to go over.
Well, no, that was great. But the reality is this business is mostly women.
Mhm.
And if we're not understanding the needs of women, and we're not reaching out and honoring, then we don't deserve. But because we are, this is the perfect home.
Mhm.
So I just want to end, because I know you and Tigray got to get back to the scene.
Yeah.
We are so honored and proud and overjoyed, and the feelings of safety that come along with it, because guys want security too.
Mhm.
To have Holton Buggs, Mark Cathcart, and Tigray, Edwin Haynes, leading this company. How that makes us feel, how that, the security that obviously we have a ton of fun together. We love you guys, and we loved happy birthday, Tigray. Loved it all. So much fun together. You know what? This is genuine and real, and we honor and love you guys so much. We feel it